Life is often a long, winding journey, filled with burdens we don't even realize we carry. The worries, commitments, and outdated relationships slowly pile up, leaving us drained, both mentally and physically. This isn't just a feeling of stress. It's a tangible exhaustion that seeps into our bodies, our energy, and the way we approach each new day. Over time, we begin to understand something important. Happiness doesn't always come from adding more things to our lives. Sometimes, it comes from removing the things that hold us back, the things that drain us, or simply no longer serve a purpose. But here's the catch: letting go isn't easy, especially when those things are tied to emotions, memories, or the people we love. It's a tough, sometimes painful process, but the freedom that comes with it is worth every step. And today, we're going to dive deep into 7 things you need to quietly remove from your life. These aren't grand gestures or drastic changes. They're small, yet powerful steps toward a life that's more authentic, more yours. I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll have a clearer understanding of what's weighing you down and how to start shedding that weight. If you're ready to start living with more peace and intention, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our journey to a life of true freedom. Let's get started. Chapter 1: Emotional Dependence. Emotional dependence can be a silent burden, weighing us down without us even realizing it. It's easy to get caught in the cycle of relying on others to fill the emotional voids within us. Whether it's looking for validation from a partner, seeking constant approval from friends, or relying on family to make us feel worthy, emotional dependence can slowly steal our peace and independence. What is emotional dependence? At its core, emotional dependence is the need for others to validate our worth or happiness. It's that feeling when you're waiting for someone else to approve of your choices or actions before you feel good about them. It's the belief that your happiness hinges on the actions or opinions of someone else. And when we allow ourselves to become emotionally dependent, we lose touch with the most important thing, our own sense of self. We become so entangled in others' emotions and expectations that we forget we have the power to create our own happiness, our own peace. The subtle signs of emotional dependence. It doesn't always show up as an obvious issue. Sometimes emotional dependence is quiet and sneaky. It can manifest in the way we seek constant reassurance, asking our loved ones, "Do you think I'm doing the right thing?" Or, "Do you still love me?" These are simple questions, but when asked repeatedly, they reveal an inner uncertainty, a reliance on others for emotional stability. Another sign is the need to please others, even when it compromises your own well-being. You might go out of your way to make someone happy, even if it means neglecting your own needs or desires. These behaviors might seem small, but they chip away at your independence, and over time, they take a toll on your mental and emotional health. Why do we become emotionally dependent? The roots of emotional dependence often lie in past experiences. Maybe it was the lack of emotional support during childhood, or perhaps you were taught that love means giving everything, no matter the cost. Some people have grown up in environments where their self-worth was constantly tied to others' approval. As a result, they carry these patterns into adulthood, seeking validation from others in ways that feel familiar but ultimately harmful. For some, it's simply easier to lean on others for emotional support than to confront and manage their own feelings. But this dependency can slowly trap us, creating a cycle of uncertainty and insecurity. Breaking free from emotional dependence. Letting go of emotional dependence doesn't mean abandoning your relationships or becoming distant. It's not about pushing others away or becoming emotionally unavailable. It's about regaining control of your emotions and building a strong foundation of self-love and self-worth. The first step is acknowledging that you are responsible for your own emotional health. You don't need someone else to complete you. You are already whole. The next step is to start practicing self-validation. Instead of looking to others for reassurance, start looking within. Ask yourself, do I feel good about this choice? Am I proud of the person I am becoming? By doing so, you begin to reinforce your own value and develop a deeper connection with yourself, developing healthy emotional independence. True emotional independence doesn't mean shutting others out or becoming cold. It's about cultivating a healthy balance between loving others and loving yourself. It's about knowing that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else's actions or approval. It's about being able to give love and support without expecting anything in return. Emotional independence means being able to stand on your own, knowing that you can face life's challenges without relying on others to carry you through. It's about being your own source of strength. How emotional independence improves your relationships. When you free yourself from emotional dependence, your relationships improve in unexpected ways. First, you stop putting pressure on others to fulfill your emotional needs. Instead of expecting someone to fix you, you show up as a whole person, ready to give and receive love without conditions. This shift creates a deeper, more authentic connection because you're no longer looking to someone else to complete you. You become a partner who is emotionally self-sufficient, someone who can be there for others without draining yourself or becoming overly reliant. Building emotional resilience. One of the greatest benefits of emotional independence is the development of emotional resilience. When you rely on yourself to manage your emotions, you become better equipped to handle life's ups and downs. You start to trust yourself more, knowing that you can navigate challenges without being overwhelmed by them. This resilience doesn't mean you won't feel sadness, fear, or frustration. It means you won't be controlled by these emotions. Instead of reacting impulsively or seeking comfort from others, you'll be able to process your feelings in a healthy way and find your own path forward. The power of letting go. Letting go of emotional dependence is one of the most liberating things you can do for yourself. It's a decision to stop letting your happiness depend on external factors and start building a life where you are the main source of your own joy and peace. When you free yourself from this emotional weight, you open up space for deeper, more fulfilling relationships. You allow yourself to grow into the best version of yourself without being tethered to someone else's opinions or expectations. Emotional independence is about reclaiming your personal power and trusting that you are enough, just as you are. So ask yourself, how much of your emotional well-being is tied to others? How often do you find yourself waiting for someone else's approval before you can feel confident in your own decisions? It's time to take back that power. It's time to stop waiting for someone to tell you that you're okay, that you're loved, that you matter. Because the truth is, you always have been and always will be enough. You don't need anyone to validate your existence. The greatest love you can give is the love you have for yourself. Chapter 2. Objects with more emotional weight than practical value. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to accumulate items that we think we need. We fill our homes, our closets, and our lives with things that promise happiness, comfort, or status. But over time, we begin to realize that many of these possessions carry more emotional weight than practical value. They may once have served a purpose, but now they only remind us of the past, of things we no longer need, or of expectations that were never ours to begin with. These objects, instead of enhancing our lives, are simply weighing us down. The danger of sentimental attachment to objects. It's natural to feel attached to certain things. A piece of clothing that reminds us of a special time, a gift from a loved one, or a memento from a trip. But sometimes, we hold on to these objects long after their true value has passed. The emotional attachment can make it difficult to let go, even when the item no longer serves a practical purpose. We tell ourselves, this item means so much to me. But the truth is, the emotion tied to it may be more about nostalgia or fear of losing memories than about the object itself. The longer we keep these items, the more they begin to weigh on us, creating clutter not just in our homes, but in our minds and hearts as well. Sentimental objects that no longer serve a purpose. Think about the things you've held on to over the years. Perhaps it's a stuffed animal from childhood, a broken piece of jewelry, or a stack of old letters. These objects may have once held significant meaning, but now they simply collect dust. They serve no practical function, and yet they remain in our lives because of the memories they hold. While memories are important, they don't need to be tied to physical objects. Holding on to these items can sometimes feel like we're holding on to the past, unwilling to let go of something that once brought us joy or comfort. But in reality, they can hinder our growth by preventing us from fully embracing the present and looking toward the future. The emotional toll of clutter. Clutter isn't just physical, it's emotional too. When we hold on to objects that no longer serve us, we carry a heavy emotional burden. The piles of things we accumulate can cause stress, anxiety, and a sense of being overwhelmed. Every time we open a drawer or closet, we're reminded of all the things we've yet to deal with. It's exhausting, and it drains our energy. The clutter creates a mental fog, making it harder to focus on what truly matters. It keeps us tied to the past, and instead of moving forward, we find ourselves stuck in a cycle of emotional attachment to things that no longer contribute to our well-being. Letting go of objects to make room for growth. The process of letting go can be incredibly freeing. By releasing the things that no longer serve a purpose, we create space. Space for new experiences, new opportunities, and new perspectives. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean erasing the memories associated with these objects. It means recognizing that the true value of our memories and emotions doesn't come from physical possessions. Our experiences live within us, and by releasing the objects that no longer align with who we are today, we give ourselves permission to grow and evolve. In this process, we find clarity and peace, both in our physical space and in our hearts. The power of simplicity. Living a simpler life can be incredibly empowering. When we free ourselves from the weight of objects that carry more emotional baggage than practical value, we experience a profound sense of relief. Simplicity isn't about depriving ourselves of things. It's about choosing what truly adds value to our lives. It's about surrounding ourselves only with those things that enhance our well-being, help us grow, or bring us genuine joy. By embracing simplicity, we can focus more on what truly matters: relationships, experiences, and personal growth. The less we hold on to material possessions, the more space we create for what truly nourishes our soul. Emotional liberation through letting go. The act of letting go is one of emotional liberation. It's an acknowledgement that our worth isn't tied to the things we own or the memories encapsulated in physical objects. Our value comes from within, from who we are, how we live, and the connections we make with others. By letting go of objects that carry more emotional weight than practical value, we are telling ourselves that we are ready to move forward. We are ready to embrace a life that isn't defined by the past, but shaped by the present and the possibilities of the future. Final thoughts. Ask yourself, what objects are holding you back? Which items in your home are simply collecting dust, serving as emotional anchors to a time or person that no longer plays a role in your life? Letting go doesn't diminish the importance of those memories. Instead, it frees you to fully experience the life you are living now, without being weighed down by the past. It's time to release the clutter and make room for the things that truly matter, the things that contribute to your growth, peace, and happiness. You will be surprised by how light and liberated you feel when you no longer let objects define you. Chapter 3. Toxic or draining relationships. Not all relationships are meant to last forever. We often enter relationships with the hope that they will nurture and support us, but sometimes we find ourselves surrounded by people who drain our energy, harm our mental health, or hold us back from becoming our best selves. These relationships, whether they are with friends, family, or romantic partners, may not always be overtly toxic, but they can still be incredibly draining. It's easy to get stuck in these dynamics because they feel familiar, or we feel obligated to maintain them due to history. shared experiences, or societal expectations. However, recognizing the toll these relationships take is the first step toward freeing ourselves from their grip. The subtle nature of toxicity. Toxic relationships are often insidious. They don't always start off with blatant signs of harm. In fact, many of these relationships can seem perfectly normal, or even loving at first. But over time, the subtle erosion of our well-being becomes evident. You might feel constantly criticized, unsupported, or manipulated. You might find that the person brings out the worst in you, causing you to doubt yourself or your worth. The more you give, the more you feel drained, and the less you receive in return. Eventually, what started as a bond built on trust and care can devolve into a cycle of negativity and emotional exhaustion. These subtle cues are often overlooked until the toll becomes too much to ignore. The emotional drain of toxic connections. One of the most painful aspects of toxic relationships is the emotional drain. These relationships take without offering anything in return. You may find yourself constantly putting in effort, time, and energy to please someone who never seems satisfied or appreciative. Over time, this takes a toll on your emotional health. You begin to feel depleted, empty, and emotionally fragile. The weight of trying to fix or save someone else leaves little room for self-care or growth. Your emotions become a mirror of the instability in the relationship, and before long, your sense of self starts to erode. This exhaustion can spill over into every other area of your life, leaving you feeling stuck and hopeless. The power of emotional manipulation. Toxic relationships often thrive on emotional manipulation. You might be made to feel guilty for setting boundaries or taking time for yourself. The person might use guilt trips, passive-aggressive comments, or gaslighting to keep you in a state of confusion and doubt. Emotional manipulation is a powerful tool that erodes your confidence and leaves you questioning your judgment. What was once a relationship based on mutual respect can devolve into one where you feel controlled and powerless. Over time, this manipulation can wear down your emotional resilience, making it harder to trust yourself and your instincts. It's essential to recognize the signs of manipulation early, as these tactics can become deeply ingrained and difficult to break free from. The cost of staying in draining relationships. Staying in toxic relationships comes at a high cost. In addition to emotional and mental strain, you may find that your physical health is affected as well. Chronic stress, anxiety, and feelings of helplessness can manifest in physical symptoms. Headaches, fatigue, insomnia, and even a weakened immune system. These relationships rob you of the energy and peace needed to thrive in other areas of your life. You may neglect your own passions, dreams, and well-being because you're constantly preoccupied with trying to fix the other person or deal with the drama in the relationship. Over time, this can prevent you from growing into the person you are meant to be. The importance of setting boundaries. One of the most important steps in protecting yourself from toxic relationships is learning how to set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that isolate you from others. They are the limits you set to protect your emotional and mental well-being. Setting boundaries means knowing when to say no and having the courage to do so without feeling guilty. It means recognizing when someone's behavior is no longer acceptable and taking action to distance yourself or speak up. Setting boundaries may be uncomfortable at first, but it is essential for preserving your sense of self and maintaining healthy relationships. Without boundaries, you open yourself up to further emotional harm and drain. Recognizing when it's time to walk away. Walking away from a toxic relationship can feel impossible, especially if you have a deep emotional connection or a long history with the person. But sometimes, the most loving thing you can do, for both yourself and the other person, is to walk away. Continuing to invest in a relationship that no longer serves you, or that constantly drains your energy, only prolongs the pain. Recognizing when it's time to let go is an act of self-love and self-respect. You deserve to surround yourself with people who uplift you, support you, and help you grow. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about your own well-being to take a step back and protect your peace. The power of self-care and self-love. Once you release the grip of toxic or draining relationships, you create space for self-care and self-love. These practices become essential in rebuilding your sense of self-worth and healing from the emotional toll of those relationships. Self-care isn't just about pampering yourself. It's about investing in your mental, emotional, and physical health. It's about surrounding yourself with people who support and nourish you, people who want to see you succeed and thrive. When you prioritize your own well-being, you are better equipped to handle challenges, face adversity, and build relationships that are fulfilling and supportive. Final thoughts. Toxic relationships are a silent thief of joy and peace. They can slowly strip away your sense of self and leave you emotionally drained, confused, and stuck. Recognizing these relationships, setting boundaries, and knowing when to let go are crucial steps toward reclaiming your life. Remember, you don't owe anyone your time, energy, or peace if they are not reciprocating it in a healthy, supportive way. Walking away from a toxic relationship is not a sign of weakness. It's a powerful declaration of self-respect and strength. You deserve relationships that inspire, uplift, and support you. Relationships that allow you to flourish. Don't let toxic people or draining connections hold you back from the life you are meant to live. Chapter 4. Fear of rejection for saying no. The burden of always saying yes. In life, many of us find it difficult to say no. It's a small word, yet holds immense power. Why? Because somewhere along the way, we've learned to fear rejection. We fear that if we deny someone's request, we'll be seen as unkind, selfish, or unhelpful. This fear of rejection is a silent force that compels us to constantly say yes, even when it comes at the expense of our own well-being. It's not just about accommodating others. It's about seeking approval and avoiding the uncomfortable feeling that may come from disappointing someone. However, living in a constant state of obligation drains us emotionally and mentally. It's an unsustainable way of existing. The fear of letting people down. At its core, the fear of rejection for saying no is deeply tied to the fear of letting people down. Whether it's a colleague asking for help, a family member requesting something, or a friend seeking your support, the weight of saying no often feels like we're failing them. We may think that by saying yes, we're being helpful, responsible, and loved. Yet in doing so, we sacrifice our own peace, our time, and our energy. The truth is, saying no doesn't equate to being unhelpful or unloving. It simply means you're taking responsibility for your own limits. It's an act of self-respect, not rejection of others. The emotional cost of people-pleasing, constantly saying yes, even when we don't want to, comes with a significant emotional price. People-pleasing often leads to burnout. It can leave you feeling drained, resentful, and emotionally exhausted. The more we give, the more we expect others to reciprocate, and when they don't, disappointment sets in. What begins as a simple desire to avoid conflict or to make others happy turns into a pattern that leaves us unfulfilled and disconnected from our own needs. The fear of rejection keeps us locked in a cycle, afraid to assert our boundaries because we're terrified of how others will perceive us. But it's important to realize that the cost of this behavior isn't just emotional. It can affect your physical health too. Why setting boundaries is a form of self-care. Learning to say no and setting boundaries is a vital practice of self-care. It's not about being selfish. It's about protecting your energy. When you say yes to everything, you say no to your own needs. You say no to your time, your peace, and your health. Boundaries are essential to preserving your sense of self. By setting limits, you're teaching others how to treat you, and you're ensuring that your own emotional tank doesn't run dry. Saying no is an essential tool in maintaining your mental health and well-being. It's a declaration that your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. The underlying causes of fear of rejection Our fear of rejection often stems from deep-rooted beliefs about ourselves. We might have grown up in environments where our worth was tied to how much we could do for others. Perhaps we've internalized the idea that love and approval are conditional upon our ability to be constantly available and helpful. These beliefs can linger throughout adulthood, manifesting in the fear of saying no. However, this fear is a learned behavior, and it can be unlearned. Realizing that your worth is not contingent on your ability to always say yes is the first step in breaking free from the cycle of people-pleasing. The power of assertiveness. Assertiveness is a key skill in overcoming the fear of rejection. It's the ability to communicate your needs and desires clearly and confidently without feeling guilty. Assertive people don't shy away from saying no, but they do so with respect and clarity. Being assertive doesn't mean being rude or dismissive. It means honoring your boundaries while also acknowledging the needs of others. When you learn to be assertive, you take control of your life, and you stop allowing external pressures to dictate your choices. This power to assert yourself not only builds your confidence, but also nurtures your relationships as it fosters mutual respect. The long-term benefits of saying no. While saying no might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're not used to it, the long-term benefits are invaluable. By saying no to things that don't align with your values or that drain your energy, you create space for the things that truly matter to you. You create room for self-care, for pursuing your passions, and for spending time with the people who uplift you. Saying no allows you to prioritize your own growth, both mentally and emotionally. Over time, you'll realize that the fear of rejection is nothing more than an illusion, and the peace that comes with setting boundaries is far more fulfilling than the temporary relief of saying yes. Embracing your own worth. Saying no is a direct reflection of your self-worth. It's a way of telling the world that you value your time, energy, and peace. When you embrace your own worth, you stop seeking external validation through constant approval. You begin to trust that you have the right to say no, and that doing so is a sign of strength, not weakness. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you say yes to yourself. You affirm that you deserve respect, love, and consideration, and that you are worthy of setting boundaries that honor your needs. The fear of rejection is not your enemy. The fear of rejection will always be a part of us, but it doesn't have to control us. By understanding that rejection isn't a reflection of our worth, we can begin to dismantle the power it holds over us. Rejection is simply a part of life. It's inevitable, but it doesn't define us. What truly matters is our ability to navigate these moments with grace, to stand firm in our boundaries, and to recognize that our peace and well-being are worth protecting. Saying no is not a weakness. It's a powerful act of self-respect. And with time, we come to realize that when we say no to what doesn't serve us, we are saying yes to a life of greater fulfillment, peace, and authenticity. Final thoughts. Fear of rejection is a natural human emotion, but it doesn't have to rule our lives. By learning to say no, we take back control of our time, energy, and emotional health. Saying no is a powerful way to honor ourselves and our needs. It's not about rejecting others. It's about accepting ourselves and our right to live authentically. When we stop fearing rejection, we start living with confidence and clarity, knowing that saying no is a key to creating a life that aligns with our true values and desires. Chapter 5. Other people's drama. The weight of other people's problems. We all have our own struggles to contend with, our personal challenges, dreams, and aspirations. But there's a danger in absorbing the drama and emotional turmoil of those around us. Whether it's a friend constantly caught in toxic relationships, a family member perpetually complaining, or a colleague wrapped up in office politics, their drama can quickly become a weight that drags us down. We're wired to empathize with others, but when we get too involved in their emotional roller coasters, we lose sight of our own path. It becomes exhausting, emotionally draining, and often the drama becomes all-consuming. The toll on your energy and well-being. When we allow other people's problems to take center stage in our lives, we start to feel like we're living in their world, not our own. It's easy to get caught in a cycle of trying to fix others or absorb their distress, but this ultimately saps our energy. Emotional exhaustion creeps in, leaving us feeling depleted and overwhelmed. We start prioritizing their issues over our own, and in doing so, we lose the balance that's necessary for our well-being. The constant need to respond to, resolve, or react to other people's emotional chaos can leave us mentally drained, unable to focus on our own goals or even enjoy simple moments of peace. Why it's hard to set boundaries. Setting boundaries when it comes to other people's drama can be difficult, especially if we care deeply for the person involved. There's often a feeling of guilt that comes with not offering help or getting involved in their situation. We tell ourselves, if I don't step in, who will? But here's the truth. You can't carry the burden of someone else's drama without it affecting you. You may feel guilty for setting boundaries, but in reality, you're only protecting yourself from unnecessary stress and emotional turmoil. It's not selfish to preserve your own peace. It's a necessary act of self-care. Your mental and emotional health are just as important as the well-being of others. Recognizing when you're being pulled in. The first step in breaking free from a cycle of absorbing other people's drama is recognizing when it's happening. It's not always obvious, especially when the drama feels like it's part of your everyday life. Sometimes it manifests in subtle ways. A friend venting incessantly about their problems, a coworker dragging you into workplace gossip, or a family member seeking constant emotional support. It can be easy to think that we need to be involved in order to be supportive, but when it starts affecting your own well-being, it's time to take a step back. Recognizing when you're being pulled into someone else's emotional vortex is the first step in regaining control. The power of detachment. Detaching from other people's drama doesn't mean you stop caring about them. It means you're choosing to protect your emotional space. Detachment is not about being cold or indifferent. It's about understanding the difference between supporting someone and allowing their drama to consume you. It's about maintaining your emotional boundaries not letting their issues become your problems. You can still be there for someone without getting tangled in their emotional web. Detaching allows you to offer support without compromising your own peace. It empowers you to take care of your own emotional health while still being a good friend, family member, or colleague. How to say no without feeling guilty. One of the most challenging aspects of dealing with other people's drama is learning how to say no without feeling guilty. It's not easy, especially when a person in need is someone close to you. However, it's important to remember that you don't have to solve everyone's problems. It's okay to acknowledge someone's distress without absorbing it yourself. You can offer a kind word, direct them to resources, or listen for a short while. But ultimately, it's up to them to resolve their own issues. Saying no doesn't mean you're abandoning them. It simply means you're taking care of yourself so that you can be in a better place to offer support in the future. The importance of self-awareness. The more aware you are of your own emotional state, the easier it will be to recognize when you're getting caught up in other people's drama. Self-awareness helps you differentiate between being a compassionate listener and becoming emotionally entangled in someone else's issues. By taking time to reflect on your emotions and actions, you'll be able to gauge whether someone else's drama is affecting you negatively. If you notice signs of stress, frustration, or exhaustion, it's a signal that you need to step back. Self-awareness is key to maintaining emotional balance and preventing burnout. How to regain control of your life. When you've been caught up in other people's drama for a long time, it can feel like you've lost control of your own life. Your time and energy are no longer your own. They've been siphoned off by the demands and crises of others. Regaining control requires you to refocus on your own needs, goals, and desires. It's about reclaiming your time and energy for yourself. This may mean setting firmer boundaries, limiting the time you spend with emotionally demanding people, or even stepping away from certain relationships that no longer serve you. Regaining control means making yourself a priority and putting your own peace and happiness first. The benefits of focusing on your own path, focusing on your own life and emotional well-being has profound benefits. When you stop getting involved in other people's drama, you have more time and energy to invest in your own growth. You can pursue your goals, take care of your health, and build relationships that uplift you. Focusing on your own path also allows you to create a life that aligns with your values and aspirations. By detaching from drama, you create space for positive energy, inner peace, and personal fulfillment. You'll find that you have more clarity, more joy, and more capacity to give to the world around you without sacrificing your own happiness. Final thoughts. Other people's drama can be a major drain on your energy and peace of mind. While it's natural to want to help others, it's equally important to protect your own emotional well-being. By setting boundaries, practicing detachment, and learning how to say no, you can avoid getting swept up in the chaos of others. Focusing on your own life and emotional needs doesn't make you selfish. It makes you more grounded, more centered, and better equipped to support others from a place of strength. When you stop absorbing other people's drama, you create space for a life that's more fulfilling, peaceful, and authentically yours. Chapter 6. Perfectionism. The illusion of perfection. Perfectionism is a dangerous trap. It feels like an ideal, something that promises to elevate us, to make us worthy, to bring satisfaction and pride. But in reality, it's an illusion. We chase this unattainable standard, believing that if we can just get everything perfect, everything will fall into place. The truth, however, is that perfection is a moving target. It changes constantly, and no matter how close we get, we're never truly there. Perfectionism isn't just about high standards. It's about the relentless pursuit of an idea that, by its nature, is unreachable. And as we chase this phantom, we end up creating stress, self-doubt, and frustration. The cost of perfectionism. The pursuit of perfection can take a massive toll on our mental and emotional health. It can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, and burnout. The pressure to get everything just right makes us second-guess every decision and constantly doubt our abilities. We become paralyzed by fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of being judged, and fear of not measuring up. Instead of celebrating progress, we focus only on shortcomings and flaws. This constant self-criticism becomes exhausting. The truth is, the more we strive for perfection, the less we enjoy life. We miss the beauty in imperfection, the lessons in failure, and the satisfaction of simply showing up. The tyranny of should. Perfectionism often manifests in a constant internal dialogue of should. We tell ourselves we should be better, smarter, more successful, more accomplished. These thoughts become repetitive and relentless. We place impossible expectations on ourselves, convinced that anything less than perfection is unacceptable. The word should becomes a tyrant, dictating how we live our lives. It holds us back from taking risks, trying new things, or even starting projects, because we fear we won't do them flawlessly. This internal pressure leads us to avoid vulnerability and growth. We become stuck, unable to move forward, constantly trapped by an unrealistic standard. The fear of failure. At the core of perfectionism is the fear of failure. Failure, in the eyes of the perfectionist, is not just an event. It's an identity crisis. It means we're not good enough, not worthy enough, and certainly not perfect. But failure is a necessary part of life and growth. It teaches us valuable lessons and pushes us towards self-discovery and improvement. However, when we're afraid to fail, we limit our potential. Perfectionism tells us that we should avoid mistakes at all costs, but by doing so, we never take the chances that could lead to our greatest successes. Failure isn't the enemy, it's an ally in disguise, helping us become better versions of ourselves. The myth of good enough. For many perfectionists, good enough isn't even an option. We have been conditioned to believe that anything less than perfection is a failure, but good enough is often the most powerful place to be. It's where progress is made. It's where we can see results, learn, adapt, and move forward. Good enough is the antidote to perfectionism. It's where we let go of the need for control and embrace the beauty of doing our best without the burden of needing it to be flawless. When we let go of perfection, we allow ourselves the freedom to evolve and improve over time without self-judgment or unrealistic expectations. The beauty of imperfection. True growth comes from embracing imperfection. The perfect life doesn't exist, and neither do perfect people. The pursuit of perfection only leads to discontent, because no matter how much we achieve, there's always something else to strive for. Instead of striving for perfection, we should aim for progress. Embrace the idea that it's okay to not have everything figured out. Embrace the messiness of life. It's in our flaws, our mistakes, and our struggles that we truly grow. It's through imperfection that we discover our true selves, connect with others, and find meaning in our journeys. How to break free from perfectionism. Breaking free from perfectionism requires a conscious shift in mindset. First, acknowledge that perfection is not attainable. Start by redefining what success looks like. Instead of obsessing over flawless execution, focus on doing your best and learning along the way. Understand that mistakes are not a reflection of your worth, but an opportunity for growth. Begin to practice self-compassion. Instead of criticizing yourself for not being perfect, celebrate your efforts and progress, no matter how small. Take incremental steps to let go of the need for perfection. Start by setting realistic goals and expectations, and remember that it's okay to make mistakes along the way. Progress, not perfection, is what truly matters. The rewards of embracing imperfection. When we let go of perfectionism, we open the door to freedom, creativity, and joy. We free ourselves from the constant pressure to meet impossible standards, allowing space for true growth and fulfillment. Letting go of perfection means letting go of fear and self-doubt. It means accepting ourselves fully, flaws and all, and realizing that we are worthy not because we're perfect, but because we are human. When we embrace imperfection, we embrace life itself, the messy, beautiful, and imperfect journey that makes us who we are. Final thoughts. Perfectionism may feel like a way to achieve excellence, but in reality, it holds us back from living fully. It keeps us trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, fear, and unrealized potential. Letting go of the need for perfection frees us to take risks, embrace mistakes, and pursue progress rather than an impossible ideal. When we accept that imperfection is part of the process, we allow ourselves to grow, evolve, and thrive. And that is where true success lies. Chapter 7. Nostalgia for who you once were. The power of nostalgia. Nostalgia has an undeniable pull. It brings with a sense of warmth, of comfort, and sometimes even longing. We often find ourselves reminiscing about who we once were, about the version of ourselves that felt freer, more confident, or more optimistic. These memories can create a sense of connection to our past, to a time when things felt simpler, or when we believed the future held endless possibilities. But while nostalgia can offer a temporary escape, it can also trap us in the past, preventing us from fully embracing who we are now and who we could become. The danger of living in the past. When we get lost in nostalgia, we begin to idealize who we once were. We forget the struggles, the flaws, and the uncertainties that were also part of our journey. Instead, we see our past selves through a filter of perfection. Everything seemed easier, everything felt better, and we were more capable. This selective memory distorts the reality of our past and creates an illusion of a better version of ourselves. The danger lies in the fact that this version of ourselves is no longer attainable. The world has changed, we have changed, and clinging to a past identity can prevent us from moving forward and growing. We become more focused on what we used to be rather than on what we can become. Why it's hard to let go of the past. The desire to hold on to who we once were is deeply tied to our sense of identity. We find comfort in the familiar, in the version of ourselves that we once knew so well. Our past holds a sense of certainty that the present often feels devoid of. It's easier to hold on to memories of our younger, more energetic, or more carefree selves because they represent a time when things felt more manageable. Letting go of that image can feel like losing a part of who we are, but in reality, holding on to this nostalgic version of ourselves limits our growth. We are more than just the sum of our past experiences. Our potential lies in the present and future, not in a memory that no longer serves us. The trap of comparison. Nostalgia often leads us to compare who we are now with who we were then. We find ourselves wondering, what happened to that person? Or why can't I be like I was back then? This comparison sets us up for disappointment. We forget that growth is a natural process. It's not always linear, and it doesn't always look the way we expect. The person we once were was shaped by different circumstances, different challenges, and a different version of life. The person we are now has been shaped by the lessons, the pain, and the experiences we've gone through since then. The comparison only serves to diminish the value of our present self, making us feel less than, when in fact, we have evolved and gained new strengths. The myth of better times. When we romanticize our past, we create a myth of better times. We convince ourselves that life was somehow easier, more fulfilling, or more exciting back then, but this is rarely the case. What we often overlook is that, at the time, we likely faced challenges and difficulties that seemed just as overwhelming as what we face today. The past may seem perfect in hindsight, but it's important to remember that we were likely struggling with something at that point too. Our minds tend to filter out the hardships, the doubts, and the mistakes. What's left is a shiny, idealized version of our history, which becomes impossible to live up to. The idea of better times is a false narrative that keeps us trapped in a past that no longer serves us. Embracing the present. The only way to break free from the grip of nostalgia is to fully embrace the present moment. We must recognize that the person we are today is just as valuable, just as worthy, and just as capable as the person we were in the past. The past was a chapter in our journey, but it is no longer the story. It's time to shift our focus from what we were to what we are, and what we can still become. Embracing the present means acknowledging the growth, the wisdom, and the resilience we've gained through time. It means accepting that we are constantly evolving, and that the person we are now is the person we need to be to face the challenges ahead. The importance of self-compassion. Letting go of nostalgia doesn't mean abandoning our past or forgetting who we once were. It simply means making peace with that version of ourselves and accepting that we've changed. Self-compassion plays a key role in this process. We need to be kind to ourselves, acknowledging that our journey is unique and that it's okay to not be the same person we were years ago. Growth comes with change, and with change comes a new sense of identity. Instead of clinging to an outdated version of ourselves, we can show ourselves the compassion we need to move forward. The power of reinvention. When we stop comparing ourselves to who we once were, we open up the possibility for reinvention. We are not bound by our past. We can create new stories, new possibilities, and new identities. The person you were in the past is not a limitation, but a foundation. Every experience you've had has led you to this moment, and you can use it to build something even greater. Embrace the idea of reinvention. It's not about erasing the past, but about integrating it into the person you are now. You are not stuck in time. You are evolving, adapting, and transforming into the person you are meant to become. Letting go of the past. The process of letting go of who we once were is not easy, but it is necessary for growth. It's about accepting that the past is behind us and that we can no longer live in its shadow. When we stop living for the version of ourselves we were, we free ourselves to create the version we want to be. The journey of life is not about staying the same. It's about evolving, learning, and embracing the endless possibilities that lie ahead. By letting go of the nostalgia for who we once were, we make space for the person we are becoming. And in that space, we find our true potential. Chapter 8. The Burden of Overcommitment. The Allure of Saying Yes. In today's fast-paced world, the pressure to do more, to be everywhere, and to help everyone can be overwhelming. The need to say yes to every opportunity, every request, and every commitment often stems from a desire to be seen as helpful, dependable, and successful. However, saying yes to everything might seem harmless at first, but over time, it can become an unbearable burden. We end up juggling too many responsibilities, stretching ourselves too thin, and ultimately, losing sight of what truly matters to us. The reality is that overcommitting can drain our energy, diminish our quality of work, and rob us of precious time that could be spent focusing on our own well-being and personal goals. The danger of spreading yourself too thin. When we take on more than we can handle, we spread ourselves too thin. Every task, every obligation, and every favor takes away from the attention and energy we have for the things that truly matter in our lives. We become less effective, less focused, and more likely to make mistakes. We might start feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and exhausted, but because we've committed ourselves to so many things, it becomes difficult to pull back. In an attempt to keep up with the demands, we end up sacrificing the quality of our work and the relationships that are most important to us. Our mental and physical health begins to suffer, and we start to feel trapped in a cycle of busyness that never seems to end. The illusion of perfection. Often, our desire to overcommit comes from an inner belief that we need to be perfect. We think that to prove our worth, we must be able to handle everything and everyone without ever saying no. This perfectionist mindset can lead us to believe that our value is tied to how much we can do, how much we can give, and how many people we can please. But the truth is, no one can do everything perfectly. The burden of overcommitment is often self-imposed, and it stems from the belief that we need to be all things to all people. In reality, trying to live up to this impossible standard only leads to burnout, frustration, and a diminished sense of self-worth. We must learn to embrace imperfection and recognize that it's okay to not be everything for everyone. The importance of boundaries. One of the most crucial aspects of avoiding the burden of overcommitment is setting boundaries. Boundaries are not about being selfish. They're about taking care of ourselves so that we can show up fully for the things and people that matter most. When we fail to set boundaries, we open ourselves up to constant requests and obligations that can quickly overwhelm us. Saying no is not a sign of weakness or lack of support. It's an essential act of self-preservation. By setting boundaries, we create space in our lives for rest, reflection, and focus. We also ensure that the commitments we do make are intentional, aligned with our values, and sustainable in the long term. The fear of letting others down. A major reason we overcommit is the fear of letting others down. We want to be the person people can rely on, the one who always shows up, and the one who can handle anything. However, this fear of disappointing others can lead us to say yes to things we don't truly want to do or don't have the capacity to take on. It's important to recognize that we cannot please everyone, and trying to do so will only leave us feeling drained and resentful. True support comes from being honest about our limitations and communicating them with others. People who truly care for us will understand that we cannot always say yes, and in the end, we may even be more valued for our honesty and authenticity. The myth of multitasking. Another aspect of overcommitment is the myth of multitasking. We convince ourselves that we can juggle multiple projects, obligations, and responsibilities at once without compromising our performance. However, research has shown that multitasking is a myth. It actually reduces our productivity and leads to mental fatigue. When we spread ourselves too thin, we're not giving our best to any one task. Instead, we're giving half of ourselves to many things, which results in subpar outcomes and a constant feeling of dissatisfaction. The more we try to multitask, the less we're able to focus on what's truly important. Prioritization and focused attention are key to achieving success without burning out. The power of saying no. Saying no is one of the most powerful tools in managing overcommitment. It allows us to take control of our time and energy and ensures that we are investing in the things that align with our goals and values. Saying no doesn't make us bad people. It makes us responsible for our own well-being. It's important to remember that we don't need to justify every no or explain ourselves endlessly. A simple, respectful no can free up space for the things that truly matter in our lives. It can help us reclaim our time and energy, allowing us to be more present and engaged in the areas that align with our passions and aspirations. The need for self-reflection. To avoid the burden of overcommitment, we must engage in regular self-reflection. We need to ask ourselves, what truly matters to me? What are my priorities? Am I saying yes to things because I genuinely want to? Or am I doing it out of obligation or fear? Regularly checking in with ourselves helps us stay aligned with our values and prevents us from getting caught up in the cycle of overcommitment. It also gives us the opportunity to reevaluate our commitments and let go of anything that no longer serves us. Self-reflection is a powerful tool for maintaining balance and ensuring that we are living a life that feels fulfilling rather than one that is simply filled with tasks and obligations. The freedom of simplicity. Finally, there's freedom and simplicity. By learning to say no and setting clear boundaries, we create space for a life that is less cluttered and more focused. We can dedicate ourselves to the things that bring us joy, fulfillment, and growth without the constant pressure of doing everything. Life becomes less about managing an endless list of commitments and more about being present in the moments that matter. This simplicity allows us to reconnect with what's important and live with greater intention, energy, and peace. In conclusion, the burden of overcommitment is a trap that many of us fall into, believing that more is better. But in reality, less is often more. By setting boundaries, learning to say no, and prioritizing what truly matters, we can free ourselves from the weight of overcommitment and create a life that is more meaningful, balanced, and fulfilling. As we wrap up today's journey, take a moment to reflect on what truly matters to you. We've explored the weight of overcommitment, the power of saying no, and how we can free ourselves from the burdens we often carry without even realizing it. Remember, life isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things, those that align with your values and bring you true fulfillment. Let go of what no longer serves you. Let go of the people, the habits, and the pressures that drain you. Embrace simplicity, set your boundaries, and make room for what fuels your soul. The path to peace and fulfillment starts with saying no, not just to others, but also to the things that keep you stuck in a cycle of endless busyness. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. We're here to take this journey together, every step of the way. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue the conversation. Thanks for watching, and remember, true freedom comes when we let go of the things that weigh us down. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep moving forward.